Hey everybody, welcome to Sound Pure. I'm Paul, and today's video is going to be another installation of our educational series on cymbals. Today we're going to be talking about two steps in the manufacturing process, hammering and lathing, and how those affect the final tone of your cymbals. So in the last video I went over the basic anatomy of a cymbal and how different weights and sizes and shapes can affect a cymbal sound. Today I'm going to go over the fine-tuning process of creating a cymbal and how hammering and lathing can actually take the tonal character of a cymbal and really craft it and focus it into something that's unique. So one of those fine-tuning processes that happens at the factory is going to be hammering. Hammering can either be done by human hands or by a machine. So the two cymbals that I have before me are from Zildjian. Zildjian actually machine hammers all of their cymbals. This keeps the cost relatively low. But some companies like Cymbal and Meinl, they actually have artisans hand hammer their cymbals, especially in their top ends, like the HH and HHX series from Cymbal. Those are all hand hammered, and the Byzance line from Meinl, those are all hand hammered by artisans as well. Now the point of hammering is to add complexity to a cymbal. If you have just a sheet of metal with absolutely no hammer marks, it's going to have a relatively straightforward sound. But actually disrupting the surface of a cymbal, when you add physical deformities and distortions to any kind of object, it actually makes the tone more complex and adds more overtones and more complex characteristics to a cymbal. For example, this one that I have to my left is a Zildjian 21-inch K Custom Special Dry Ride, and if you can look closely here, you'll see that there's a really irregular and sort of intense hammering pattern that takes place on this cymbal. The peen size is relatively large, and this large and irregular hammering pattern really adds a degree of complexity to this cymbal. Now you can contrast that to the cymbal on my right, which is a Zildjian A Sweet Ride. You look closely, the hammering pattern's a lot more concentric, it's more uniform, and the peen size is a lot smaller. So this adds a little bit of complexity and warmth to the sound, which is why this one's designated as a Sweet Ride. But it's not intense enough to cause so much deformity that the cymbal's going to sound super complex and trashy. Now once the cymbals get hammered at the factory, they go to the final lathing process, which is where an artisan actually takes a blade and shaves off layers of the cymbal and cuts these tonal grooves. Now these grooves don't just focus the sound of the cymbal, but they also physically remove weight from the cymbal. And remember, in the last video, a lighter cymbal that has the same diameter of another cymbal is going to be a little bit darker in tone than one with more mass. So if you see here on this A Sweet Ride, it has a very concentric lathing pattern. These grooves are pretty tightly cut, and it's taken a good bit of weight off of this cymbal, but the hammering pattern keeps the tone bright as well as the finish. Now you contrast that with the K Custom Special Dry Ride, where it's got a very rough lathing pattern. The grooves are cut in a pretty wide concentric arrangement, and that's left a lot of this patinaed finish on the cymbal, which is going to lead to a more dark and complex and trashy tone. So you couple that with, once again, the intense, deep hammering pattern, and you're going to end up with a really trashy sounding cymbal. So let's go ahead and do a quick sound test so you can hear how these two cymbals differ. So that was just a really quick overview of how different lathing patterns and different hammering patterns are going to affect the sound of your cymbal. Just to recap, a cymbal that's got a more concentric lathing pattern, generally going to have a more focused sound. Cymbal with a more wide lathing pattern, generally going to have a trashier sound. The same thing holds to hammering. Smaller hammering marks, more concentric pattern, more focused sound. Larger hammer marks, more regular pattern, more trashy sound. So the next time you're on our website, you're looking at cymbals and you're looking at the different lathing patterns and the different hammering patterns that come on different cymbals. Keep that bit of knowledge in mind about how the different patterns are going to affect your sound so that you can find something that's right to fit your needs. And if you have a little bit of trouble, you're stuck, you're not sure quite what to look for, give us a call and we in the drum department will be more than happy to have a conversation with you. Thanks again, guys, and tune in for the next one. Take care.